Here we are, live and unleashed. Good morning, Graham. It's the weekend, almost. Before we start, I just want to say hello to Robert Prozaneski, who I know listens to us, obviously under a pseudonym. But Prozaneski, who graced La Liga, Oviedo, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Sevilla even. But towards the end of his career, he went to play for Portsmouth. And there was a game when he scored a spectacular hat-trick and Pompey drew 4-4. And his body language walking off the pitch was, lads, I can't do any more. And Mbappe was so close last night to going one better than Prozaneski. Incredible performance. I'm calling the first one a double nutmeg because it goes through two sets of legs, and we all like a bit of double nutmeg. He was extraordinary. Vinicius was extraordinary too. That's going to be the theme of the first question, Graham. As you know, we go from theme of the week to team of the week. Theme of the week this week is seesaws, because there's never a time when Barcelona and Real Madrid are both up. One of them's up, one of them's down. Are we now Madrid up and Barca down as they go into their games? Madrid have got Girona away at the weekend and Barca are home to Alaves.
First thing to say, I love double nutmeg on my rice pudding. Good morning, everybody. Robert Prozaneski is, if he's watching under a pseudonym, then it's either Tim or Kelvin or Paul or even producer Jack. Now, that would be a good undercover. Yeah. Okay, Kelvin, you are now Robert Prozaneski. I interviewed him once at a World Cup when he was a co-commentator, and he got scruffiness to the absolute next level. He kind of shaved half his face and got tired and left the other half completely. His hair was like Wurzel Gummidge. Some of his clothes were from Marks and Spencer's, and some of them were just from Marks, whoever Mark is. The shirt was untucked at the back and tucked at the front. He chain smoked,
obviously,
without noticing that there was a fag there. And yet you could see genius in his eyes, just as you could see in Mbappe's eyes and movement last night in Piraeus. The seesaw is, I suppose, both results were surprising. Do either of the results tell you everything about this weekend's challenges for Barcelona and Real Madrid? What we saw, I think, in Stamford Bridge, does it translate to this weekend at home against a team that isn't as well equipped as Chelsea? Probably not. I don't think there's a direct translatable conclusion to be drawn from the world champions at Stamford Bridge without Pedri, Barcelona playing without Pedri, to the concept of playing an Alaves side who can come and win, who do have the faith and the quality of play to do some of the things that Barcelona don't like, but they don't have the ability to press in the asphyxiating way that Enzo Maresca's team did at Stamford Bridge. Quick note, Cadet planning the game will have looked at, I've got that right, it's Barça Alaves, right? And Cadet planning to do a Maresca. Without Pedri, and it's not a guarantee that Pedri starts, without reopening the Pandora's box of De Jong, to whom I've never warmed, for things that are beyond the fact that he's a good footballer, because he is. Without Pedri, I think he looks particularly exposed. Lamine Yamal's interpretation of what to do with a tight marker wasn't quite good enough. Again, it's only, I think, twice now in his 100 and something games for Barcelona I've seen him look 18 or 17. He did look 18. I think he won't at Camp Nou against Alaves. And where it's patently clear that Alaves can damage Football Club Barcelona is if they can make ground down the wings, particularly Alaves' left, because Koundé's not playing well. And Koundé is athletic and heroic, and I know people who've worked with him either on the pitch or off the pitch who think he is an elite defender, but he's in a low moment of form right now. Target that for sure. Target the central midfield if Pedri's not playing. And Football Club Barcelona won't have Lewandowski as isolated as they did on Tuesday at Stamford Bridge. And therefore, the seesaw nature is of Barcelona looking Champions League contenders last season, and now looking as if they're not going to get in the top eight, which Flick holds to be absolutely essential. They've got 3 winnable games, but they can't afford to play like they have occasionally played this season, where you don't just see the importance of absent players, but you see a lack of nous, you see a lack of red blood, like attitude, competitive attitude that Rafinha brought in the 19 minutes that he came on. So I think there's not a direct correlation between Tuesday and Saturday, and there's a likelihood that Barcelona roar back. But I'll tell you this, and we'll come back to it later. Maresca showed some Flick deficiencies really clearly. Pre-planning of that match, in-game decision-making and orders, and what he's achieved with a similarly tight training time. The Chelsea are under as much pressure for quality training time, maybe more because they played in the summer and won the tournament. And Maresca is achieving more tactical, strategic nuances from a very big squad full of young players than Flick is achieving at Football Club Barcelona generally. As far as Real Madrid is concerned, the degree to which they were explosive in terms of everybody committed, everybody robust, aggressive, competitive, the very things, Pete, you know better than I, and you brought it to my attention over the recent weeks about not how to proportion, but how, with how much glee some of the Real Madrid commentators who suckle for a living, the suckle on the teat of Real Madrid, were giving Xabi Alonso a shoeing. There really was a lot of people going, at last, we can get tucked into this guy. And what the phrase that you and I talked about last week was the disconnection between coach and players. That's been generically the theme that they've gone.
Yeah.
Well, there looked like there was none in Piraeus as they scored 4 and conceded 3 and nearly conceded more.
And Benitez in particular, who's meant to be the main guy who's upset with Alonso, certainly playing.
I thought he was very, very good. The connection between him and Mbappe was innate. One of the things that's really clear is that when Madrid were running free, Olympiacos' either their game plan or their application of the game plan was poor. They allowed the game to be really stretched. They allowed the transitions to be played either to Vinicius or Mbappe in space halfway up the pitch or beyond players running into space. The degree to which, if you compare what Chelsea did like that, they were like limpets against Barcelona, to what Olympiacos were doing, irrespective of the quality of the individual player. Once you get the ball, Olympiacos were so bedraggled and isolated that whatever is happening between Xabi Alonso's squad and him, and I think it's always been a little healthier in the majority of the players' case than the media over there has been suggesting. They got smelling salts in their nostrils, Madrid. They were like, we've got the ball. It's the Champions League now, and there's space. Fucking come on. And it was super when you don't have Militao and Hausen and you don't have Rudiger. You can lose headed goals. They even lost a spell of headed goals last season with, 2 of those players in the team. The problem is from the wings. Can Girona fly what they saw, the ease with which the ball was sent into the box for Olympiacos' second and third goals, the way in which Taremi and Akabi were on their own with the super headers, great conversions. Courtois should be back. It was gastroenteritis. You'd think, I went into the game thinking, this better be a pretty bad stomach bug if you're not able to play in this pretty crucial game for your coach. Luna did really well. Had nothing to say on the 3 goals. Not as impossible, but made at least two really good saves. And other than that, just looked, I do this every week, competence. So if Courtois doesn't recover in time, which I think he will, Lunan's no great Achilles heel. But you're talking, I think, about the ferocity of the attitude. And I'll tell you something, even though there'll be a lot of those who want to stamp on Xabi Alonso, looking for ways to get the debate back to, yeah, okay, Barcelona on the radio, the TV, yeah, Barcelona were humiliated and, oh, yeah, it's 3 points for Real Madrid. But look at the way in which they nearly lost that advantage. Look at the way in which they conceded 3 goals and they nearly blah, 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 because there is a momentum, there is an agenda now for whatever reason. I don't think that Girona have the ferocity and the athleticism to do to Madrid what it is they don't like. And therefore, I take that at 9 o'clock on Sunday night in Spain to be a given 3 points. Picking up on what you said, a given 3 points for Football Club Barcelona at home to Alaves? Not necessarily. But I actually, for all the things that were deficient on Tuesday, I actually believe Flick when he says that he's seen signs in recent weeks of the best training of the season. So one, I think that's true, and I think we'll see the evidence of that on Saturday. And therefore, by a big margin, with a convincing performance or not, I think 3 points at home for the champions. But the question would linger as we pass back to you, Pete, is, all right, if this is only now the last 2 weeks, the best training sessions of the season, what the fuck's been happening before that?
Good point. Yeah, I mean, it was more of a general point that all the pressure's been on Xavi, and after the 2 games in this midweek, maybe the focus starts to swing Flick's way, and the fact that they are so struggling in the Champions League. And Madrid's 100,000 or so socios, maybe not as unhappy with Xavi as some of those writing and speaking in the press. Speaking of socios, Graham.
Yeah, Gerwin's given me a sort of link in there. He says, morning, lads, whisper it quietly. But I think your favourite coach in the world, Graham, has his colchoneros on a quiet charge in the rear view mirror. Gerwin, that's coming up. Pete's going to lead us to that. You all know, all of you that are with us and all of you that are watching this as a podcast, because we've made this for socios only. You're with us. You're our soldiers. Thank you for joining us. For everybody else, this is an advert. I'm Graham and I approve this message. Vote for me in the midterms because I'll lead America away from Trump. Wrong script. Please find a way to support us. £3.99 a month. 30 quid will take you through to July. Pete and I, and Jamie and I will give you everything that you need to know about Spanish football from now until next July. And here's an idea. You're going to see a campaign in the coming weeks with tinsel on it. Gift a subscription to Revista de la Liga on Substack to your friends and family at Christmas. Remember, a Revista de la Liga is not just for Christmas.